You can't play a perfect Tetris game. It's impossible. I'm convinced it never will be done.
For decades, top Tetris players considered a perfect game to be an unattainable holy grail, until a player named Scott Obozo became the first to do it. But what does a perfect game actually mean? Well, in the game there's 4 ways to score, by arranging the falling blocks to complete 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, or 4 lines at once. The 4-line clear is called a Tetris, and is worth by far the most points, and the score counter maxes out at 1 million points. So a perfect game has traditionally been defined as a game where you get 100% Tetrises until you max out the score. Simple enough, right? The problem is that the pieces are random. Even if you play flawlessly, it's not guaranteed that the pieces will form a perfect stack. But the biggest problem is that you need a line piece for each Tetris, and you never know how long it will be until you get it. On average, you'll get a line piece once every 7 pieces, but you could get 2 line pieces in a row, or have to wait 50 pieces between them. You just have no idea. So it's basically certain that at some point in the game, you'll encounter a line piece drought so long that you'll be forced to take a smaller line clear to survive. So how did Scott Obozo get a perfect game? Well, he took advantage of a little secret about the game. Technically, the pieces aren't completely random. Now, the part of the game's program that's in charge of this, the random number generator, or RNG, has some math equations in its bag of tricks that do a pretty good job at scrambling the pieces and simulating randomness. The issue is that the equations are a deterministic system, which is a fancy way of saying every time you turn on the console, the RNG is going to simulate the exact same random piece sequence, because the starting points for the equations are going to be identical every time. Of course, the game's designers recognized this would be a serious issue.
When I played it, I said, the pieces are not coming out random. The pieces have to be random. So their program came out on Saturday, and I worked with them and fixed their random number generator.
The clever solution the programmers came up with was to secretly tap into the one unpredictable part of the system, the player themselves. So instead of generating the piece sequence only when you need it during a game, here's what's actually happening. When you turn on the console, the RNG generates a predetermined number sequence that could be used as the starting point for generating a piece at a rate of 60 times a second, or once every frame of the game. This is going on even during the menu screens. It's only when you actually play a game and place down a piece that the RNG is alerted to stop where it's at, finish the full process for the bag of tricks, and give you your next piece. So basically, the player is always zipping through potential pieces and invisibly deciding their own fate with how long it takes them to place down their piece. It's a genius way to disguise the deterministic system and have the player generate their own randomness in a way that's basically impossible for them to have any control over in the moment. Except, of course, Scott Obozo knew a way around this. While emulating the game on a computer, he used a tool-assisted speedrun program, or TAS, that allowed him to pause and rewind time in the game. That way, if he ever ran into a dead end on a perfect game where he didn't get the right piece, he could just rewind a little bit and try a different placement that took longer to fall until he got the piece he wanted. Over time, he slowly constructed a blueprint for a perfect game. Then it was just a matter of starting up his console, going through the menu screens with the exact right timing, and then